Why do they call it a Hydra Stomper?
What if you pre-ordered all your Marvel Legends at Dorkside Toys?
Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh overview. Today, we're going to take a look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends What If the Hydra Stomper. Not a Hydra Stomper, the Hydra Stomper. Oh, and I've been waiting for this one. Not only because, well, I'm a sucker for variant Iron Man armors, especially when they skew away from what we're used to, but also because it's just fun. Plus, the name Hydra Stomper just evokes, well, okay, it's basically crushing the life out of Hydra soldiers, but there's also something about Stomper that takes me back to childhood.
Stomper 4x4s with headlights from Shopper.
They could roll over pencils. Looking at the package, it's what we're kind of used to at this point with the Deluxe releases. Been a lot of big boxes lately. Marvel Legends, big window showing you most everything you get here.
What if?
Warning, choking hazards, small parts. Not a lot of small parts, but what small parts there are, don't shove them in your mouth hole. On the side, some artwork of the Hydra Stomper. On the back, that picture expanded so you can see more. A bio of Steve. Well, okay, let's get the glare off of it. There you go. More warnings, attention. On the other side, that same artwork, it's not even reversed. They kept it in the same direction. Oh, because C15 would be backwards, wouldn't it? On the top, the Watcher watching you, always watching you. On the bottom, legalese, barcode, but and we'll talk about how heavy it is too. Let's get it open, see what's going on here. I don't think it's quite Marvel Select Abomination heavy, but it has some heft to it. Says me. When it fits into that purple color scheme that we saw with the What If wave. Second tray for the backpack, and I guess it comes apart. Son of a... I went to do my usual, just push it out of the tray, and realize the antenna is sticking through it. We're gonna go for the feet and arms first. Yep, slide right out. Out of the package, I don't know if this is more natural feeling, holding an action figure, but it doesn't seem as heavy. Or maybe it was that with all the extra stuff in it together. I don't know. Whew, pumping Iron Man. Just look at this mean piece of plastic. Since it was based on an animated series, there's some smooth parts, but even then, there's all kinds of little rivet details and vents and stuff thrown at it. Gives it a very vintage retro type feel. I mean, if you looked at it like this, you'd think, oh, that's, well, okay, how about this? Man, that's a big piece of armor. But you get to here, and oh, it starts looking a little MCU-ish, and this is what ties it the most, I think. Very Iron Man Mark 1-ish. Undeniably Stark tech. The shoulder pads have this darker vent detail, and so does the forearms, these big honking plates. Almost shield-like. Roger's in there? But then holding the two halves together, there's a seam line and rivets going through, pop together. Oh, I love stuff like that. Same with the torso, a little detail under the arm. If I didn't know any better, is that a separate piece? Why would that be a separate piece? More rivets, then around here, just a little bit. Then at the legs, it becomes more tank-like. It has these plates on the front that I guess kind of simulate musculature, but not really. And a plate on top and more rivets because you could always use more rivets. Coming around to the back, and it almost seems like a pivot point, like this plate is supposed to go inside or shift out of the way. On the back of the leg, this raised part with, hey, are those rivets? But it adds almost a dog leg quality to it. The whole body is straight down to here, and then it kicks back and then into the foot, which is cool because it gives you this big honking knee pad looking thing, and then the shin curving in, but it keeps the feet under the weight of the figure itself. Down at the feet, again, very Iron Man-like with that plate right there on top, but allows, if this was the real world and this was an actual piece of armor, toe flex. Also have a machine gun mounted under the right arm, has the barrel with the holes on it, and is this flamethrower of some kind? What's back here? It's been a while since I've seen this episode. And then on the left side, I don't know what this is, but it's detail. I love how in this episode that Steve is still his original small self and the armor is huge. They put a ladder right up the front so he could climb up and into it. All the rungs and grips are rubber pieces added to the body, so you don't have to worry too much about them breaking if you get crazy. And it's the same for the antenna up on top. Paint detail, not a lot, and again, it's based on a cartoon, an animated series, but I kind of wish they had went the Hot Toys route and added some scuffs, some dings, some paint chips, just to show that this has been in a war, that it was a war machine. There is a nice tempo of the star and the C15. This piece is separate and molded in a darker green, but they did paint that same color, or near that same color, inside the vents, and then on the side of the helmet, and then down here around the feet. Yeah, that's a rubbery piece, so that's molded in that darker green. Then the lighter blue here and here are separate molded plastic pieces inset inside the mask and the chest. The belt threw me off for a minute because it seems, in my own mind's eye, it seems to be riding high. And it took me a few minutes to realize that I couldn't push it down because it's actually a rubber piece that is a cup that goes between the torso and the pelvis. The movement that is allowed on what I'm assuming is a ball there, the belt gets out of the way but stays in place at the same time. You can see it up in there. It doesn't get the greatest movement on top of it being, I don't know if it's the size or what. It's not floppy, but there is some shake, shake, shake to it. Interesting engineering down at the ankle. It looks chunky, it looks blocky, it looks like it should. And I thought, there's no way there's going to be a lot of ankle articulation, but there's more than I thought. That's because this is a rubbery piece that gets out of the way, and then this is a separate piece kind of over the hinge and swivel of the foot, so it covers, but also doesn't get in the way. The hips have detents that stick it in several positions, but like the torso, because of the weight of the plastic, all being set on a pin in the middle, there's some play to it. That's on top of my right knee being kind of smooth. The left, oh, very, very tight in the ratchet department. Also, the shoulder pads, I love them. They're that rubber material that's soft, and it comes down to a ring around the shoulder peg. It moves with the arm, doesn't get in the way, comes up, looks great. My only concern is that if you leave the arm up for a while, that likes to stay up, but it slowly moves back into position. So don't do this for a year and a half or something. Well, I guess we'll find out then. Even then, with some heat, it probably... Going over articulation, I thought it was a hinge and ball at first, but looking at it right through there, it seems to be a dumbbell joint. But the bottom is mounted into a swivel point because I can feel the detents as it comes up. Down to there, a little bit of shift forward and back. This is the most impressive. I did not expect this. Rotation, arm pegs into the torso, swivels all the way around. Hinges, whoa, whoa, whoa. They can make that hinge all the way open. It's covered. Swivel at the bicep, again, hidden under there. Single hinge at the elbow because of all this armor, comes up to 90. Swivel at the wrist and then hinges in and out. Some kind of ball joint or dumbbell or something at the waist. Doesn't get a lot of forward, a little back, mostly tilt. Rotation with some clicks. Ball coming out from the hip goes up to about right there. Back, out. Well, that's not bad for a big armor. Rotation at the thigh, but it's going to run into the crotch piece because of the armor plate coming up. Single knee that is a bit hidden in neutral position, goes up into it, comes up to 90. There is a swivel at the top of the ankle. Hinge below that goes back, forward, and then front-facing pin for rotation. For accessories, the Hydra Stomper comes with a couple of, not grip hands, but like gesturing hands. Hard to... I was going to say kind of hard to grab onto because of the stuff coming up around it, but once you pop, you can't stop. And with that, you get two fists. Then there is the backpack, or the flight module, or whatever it's called. Now remember, in the package, these were off, and it's easy enough. They just clip on. But make sure that that handle is sticking up, and the details on the boosters themselves are facing out, because there's a plain side and a fancy side. When I first clamped them on, I clamped them on like this, and you can't actually plug it into the back. It falls out, and that plugs in, stays in. Because those clip on, you do have some articulation to them where you can have them up like this or here or down. And then if you want it flying, it comes with these very familiar effects, but way bigger than what we're used to. Plug straight into here and yeah. Actually, there's more detail on here than I first saw with the hoses running and here with some kind of arms. And then a little paint for the blast back. It's kind of charred from the... But if you've seen the episode, you know this handle is for Captain Carter to ride on the Hydra Stomper's back. And there's also foot stirrups to help with that. This being what it is, and not as big as it probably should be, it is slightly tough to get Carter into those foot stirrups and holding that. On top of the hair, not allowing her to look up, so it's not the most natural of poses to put her back here. That, and she doesn't have the tightest grip. Oh, see? I have noticed that since I've stuck this on, it adds just a tiny bit of weight to the back. And if you're having a problem with it rocking slightly, turn the toes outward just a couple of degrees, and that'll make it more solid. It still wants to rock a bit because there's a lot of plastic on top of the feet, but that'll help a little. Oh, look at that running pose. And I'm just now realizing, very Iron Giant, which I guess... You could say that about any big armored character, couldn't you? That didn't last long. Size-wise, the Stomper stands at about 9¼ inches tall to the top of the helmet, which is impressive next to Marvel Legends. It towers over, but still not as large as it was shown in the episode. The tried and true Marvel Legends Bucky Cap body Hydra Soldier, and then the newer Red Skull. But if you want to keep it MCU, here is the first Avenger Red Skull, and I know this isn't MCU technically, but it's an MCU body for the comic book hologram Iron Man. Wherever, there it is. Here's the Marvel Legends Hulkbuster and Ironmonger. Oh, they could give each other a run for their money, huh? And then here's the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure comic Ironmonger and the Marvel Select Titanium Man. That'd be a good fight too. Ding. Ding. Also, here's the Stomper with the Jazzwares Fortnite Legendary Series Slushy Soldier, the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Stormtrooper version 1, Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Duke version 1, and then Mattel's WWE Bray Wyatt, because why not? So at the end of the day, it doesn't do everything I want it to do, but it does most of what I expected. Does that make sense? You're not going to get superhero landing or really huge strides and dynamic poses, but you also have to kind of look at it as an old school suit of big clunky armor. Okay, maybe not the clunkiest, it's no Mark 1, but it still has a lot of chunkiness to it. Beautiful, military looking chunkiness. I forgot to mention that during the review. The green, very military, which is fitting for what it was used for in the episode, but I thought I'd mention it because my good buddy Does Thunder is actually using this with his military top figures. He's going to throw some paint job on it. I can't wait to see some camo colors from people, some wear, some tear, maybe throw it in behind some G.I. Joes or Cobra colors. Ooh, it's kind of a blank slate in that aspect. But it also looks pretty damn fine on your Marvel Legends MCU shelf. If you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. And yeah, I did just slide that over without having too much trouble. I almost think that the more dynamic you get the pose, well, as dynamic as you can get the figure to pose, the more stable it is. It seems the least stable in neutral standing up and down pose. Maybe because in those more actiony poses you're utilizing the side to side tilt more.